welcome to the first and best breakout of today's LAMP session. You guys are going to have a great time. It's my pleasure as the sales director for Michigan Farm Bureau to introduce one of our very own. He's an intrinsically connected field leader who casts clear vision and direction aligned with our company's strategic growth goals for both people and production programs. Mason is a Master's of Leadership and Business graduate of Michigan State University, a proud Spartan. Go Michigan State.
Go green!
Oh, that's on. Go white, thank you very much. His professional path took him just a stone's throw away from the campus of Michigan State University. He now serves on the west side of our central Baytown region, where he excels as a managing partner. Mason leads alongside his 4 regional partners, who as a team are responsible for production and performance of 150 agent regions. Mason's an avid athlete from his humblest beginnings. Mason learned the invaluable lessons of being a trusted teammate, exemplifying good sportsmanship, leading by example, and believes that the discipline that you apply today yields the confidence to conquer tomorrow. He draws on these skills at Farm Bureau every single day. He sharpens them at home, where he's raising 2 beautiful girls, Noelle and Logan. Alongside his wife, Virginia, he's a dedicated advocate for consistency in every facet of his life. Mason is an accomplished Ironman athlete. He continues to put himself through the endurance test that is running marathons, despite myself and our team's request that he just chill out for a little while. He just can't help himself. It's really good. He is a champion of a health-centered lifestyle, and through empathetic encouragement empowers others to be the best version of themselves. There are many of us from Michigan gathered here today that can attest to this. It's not just what you see on the screen or in the PowerPoint. It is how Mason works and lives his life. And it's an incredible testament to what you can become if you set your mindset to it. With that, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mason Novus.
You're a great guy, too.
He's also a little awkward, which is what we love about him.
Thanks so much. All right, good afternoon. Who's lit the lamp? Who's ready to, I got my lighter out. Who's ready to light it further? Who is excited for a big 2026? Who has big goals to start 2026? Awesome. We're almost through first quarter. Who has already given up on those goals to start 2026? Do not raise your hand. That's a joke. But 60% of people have already given up on their New Year's goals by the end of January. So today I want to talk to you about a system that allows you to reflect, and we're going to hit the reset button on those goals today. Because quarter 2 starts next week, about a week, and we're going to tackle those goals. So let's start this thing off with writing down 2 goals you still have left to tackle this year, whether you failed on them in first quarter or you're still rocking and rolling. If you're still rocking and rolling on them, hell yeah, you're awesome. You're in the few percent. But if you're not, I want you to write those top 2 goals down, and I want you to turn to the person next to you, and I want you to share those goals. Real quick. Just take 2 minutes to do that for me, please. 2 goals. We're good? All right, let's do it. That's 2 minutes. I see you guys smiling. I see you laughing. You're connecting, talking about your goals. That's great. Love to see it. Anybody want to share one with me? Anybody at this table? My buddy right here, come on, I set you up. 25 new advisors down here. Awesome, let's go. Great goal. So you've thought of 2 goals today, you've shared with someone else. I want you to hold those goals with you as we go through this framework today. Because what I'm going to share with you is I've been studying execution for the past 15 years. Studying high performers, watching, listening, reading, and trying to figure out what makes people execute. And today I'm going to share with you my learnings and what I found and what's helped me execute on those goals year in, year out. And I'm going to share with you leading yourself to lead others, because you have to lead yourself before you can lead others. I'm going to talk with you about food, your community that helps you achieve goals. A scoreboard and venue for accountability. Why? What's driving you? And then we're going to talk about building endurance to continue to achieve these goals. Because in the modern day world with all these distractions and things that are driving us to disconnect, I think the greatest leadership and execution skill set that you can have is endurance. It's sustaining that success. It's sustaining what works and what you know works over a long period of time. Now, I'd like to start with sharing my execution story. That bio Nick read, it was really nice, it was sweet, it was kind. And yeah, I've done some Ironmans, I've done some marathons. But what I find amusing about a bio, it's like a Facebook post, right? It's an Instagram post. It's cute, like, yeah, if you like attention, that's great. We do all these things and we celebrate our accomplishments, but we don't see the dark side of it. We don't see the long nights. We don't see the insecurities. We don't share that we have imposter syndrome on Facebook. We only share the good things. And today, I want to share with you where I was at before I actually learned how to execute. And my buddy Al in this top right picture here, that I don't look so good in a bar, Busch Light, Grizzly Winter maybe too. You know what I mean, partner folks. So my buddy Al, from his lessons at war in Iraq, likes to share that complacency kills. And it doesn't just kill at war. It kills your business, it kills your health, it kills your relationships with your family. And the funny thing about complacency, it doesn't just show up and say, with a big sign at your door, and say, Nick, you're being complacent. It doesn't just show up and tell you you're being complacent. It kind of creeps in. It creeps in through success. Maybe you had a little success. I was pretty successful at this time. I'd opened up a new insurance agency. I was doing really well. I was performing at a high level in my career. And I thought I was doing pretty well. So it showed up in terms of success, maybe a little comfort. I was pretty comfortable eating my chicken wings and buffalo wings on the weekends. I was pretty happy too. But then one day, I realized something had to change. I started to go to the gym and I would fail year after year in January. I was one of those 60% that never made it to the end of January for several straight years. Before I crossed the finish line at any of those Ironmans and marathons, the only finish line I was crossing was McDonald's McDoubles, like drive-through line every day. I didn't like to exercise. In fact, I hated exercise. I did not want to go to the gym. So I knew my strategy had to change. And I went to the doctor one day at the age of 26, and the doctor's like, dude, your blood pressure's through the roof. We gotta put you on some blood pressure meds. And I'm like, no way, doc, I'm not doing all that. I'm a little too young for that. But the strategy had to change. I left that day, and I started to learn and started to look into what actually makes people execute. Now, my boy Simon Sinek would tell you that it starts with why. Just have a great, compelling why, right, Simon? But, I mean, Simon's just a PhD, best-selling, New York Times best-selling author. What does he know? He doesn't know how to execute, he just writes books and stuff, right? We gotta actually execute here. We're insurance people. And why had continually failed me? Well, why? Because I didn't have a compelling why. I was 26 years old, no family, thriving business. I just liked hanging out with my buddies, drinking Busch Light, eating wings, and throwing in some Grizzly Winter pouches every now and then. Amen? So what about when you don't have a why? What about when you don't have a compelling why? And here's the thing. Every day, we work with people, we work with professionals that have amazing whys. We all could have amazing whys. Think about it. Your kids, your family, your business, the people you serve, and the teams that work for you. Those are pretty powerful whys, right? But if you look around, you see people constantly failing at their New Year's goals, their health, their business, with these strong, powerful whys. So does it really start with why? I think it starts with who. So when I left the doctors that day, I started calling some friends, some of my best friends. They were also insurance professionals. And I said, hey, those two guys on that earlier photo you saw, I said, hey, let's start a fitness community. Let's start to work out together. If you guys are waiting on me at the gym, I know that I'll get out of bed. I've proven to not be able to do it myself. My why's not strong enough. I'm not disciplined enough. So I needed a community to rely on. So instead of start with why, I leaned in to start with who. Now, why does who work so well? Why did who get me over the hump? If you Google this study, the Grant study, you'll find a very popular TED Talk on the Grant study, and you'll find a lot of articles and business reviews. This is one of the most popular studies ever conducted. It's about human happiness and longevity. It's over a 75-year-old study. It started with over 700 participants, and now they're actually studying the original participants' children, and they had to get the study to be more diverse, so they reached out to multiple cities, and now they have over 3,000 people in this study. It's the longest study ever conducted on human health and happiness. And what they found in this study, inconclusively, is more powerful than anything I think we could learn, is that human happiness and connectivity to community and avoiding loneliness were the top priorities and why people live the longest, happiest, healthiest lives, regardless of their outcomes. So we had people in this study with amazing business outcomes, extraordinary business results, highly successful people. There was one U.S. president in the study, GSA actually, so we got removed from this. But there was a U.S. president, there was a U.S. senator in the study, there was alcoholics in the study, there was even people that contracted mental illnesses. So regardless of the position they winded up in, the people at age 50 with the most connectivity to a community, with the happiest, healthiest relationships, lived the longest and were happiest at age 80. So we can conclusively say, out of all these health things we talk about, in a world, a modern day world, that we are more disconnected than ever, the connectivity to community is what matters most. So why to start with who work better than why? Because we are made for human connectivity. That's why your community works. So how did I start with my community? This is back to my execution story a little bit. We started really simple. We just went to the gym 3 days a week. Remember, I don't like exercise at the time, so 3 days a week was like a lot. We went and hit the gym, weightlifted, ran, did various workouts. We made it kind of fun. We were all insurance professionals running our agencies, and whoever was selling the most got to run workouts like a drill sergeant. So I took that very seriously when I won and was leading life sales, and we would yell at each other and get in each other's faces and get out and give me push-ups. Make people do push-ups and embarrass each other right in the middle of the gym. It was pretty outrageous, if you can imagine. 3 grown men yelling at each other in the gym all the time. Actually, I pissed one of them off so much, he actually wrestled me in the gym one time. He's a lot bigger than me, he wrestled me before. So that was cool. Now, we made fun nutritional challenges as well, where we just do 30-day targets at a special diet, like paleo or vegan or whatever, and we'd send each other pictures of our food to change it up and live a little bit healthier lifestyle in the form of a sprint for 30 days. And then we have fellowship on Friday. We do sauna sessions, coffee, breakfast on Fridays, where we share our successes of the week, our scoreboard on how we were doing on our goals. We'd be vulnerable with what's going on in our lives, and our relationships build, our community build. It got bigger, more people joined into our group, and the next thing you know, we had a whole region of insurance professionals almost participating in a fitness community / book club together. So one of the first books we read, and one of the most life-changing things for me, about 10 years ago now, when I read this book, The Compound Effect, is that small habits, no matter good or bad, done daily, compounded over time equal massive results. And this was the biggest learning I had back then. Now we think of investing in our retirement funds, we think about the work that the compounded interest does for us when we work towards retirement. And we understand compounding when it comes to retirement accounts. But what about your daily habits? Are your daily habits compounding for you, or are they compounding against you? And how is your group, how is your community, how is your who impacting those daily habits as well? Are you impacting your who in a positive way? Are they impacting you in a positive way? Or which direction can you go together as a community with your who? We all went in a really positive direction. That's the group a few years later. The guy on the far left there, that's Al. He looks like The Rock now. He was in the photo earlier. He's got a few businesses worth millions of dollars. All of these guys are performing well in their businesses, their communities. They're leaders of their churches. They are leaders, and they're healthier, they're fitter, and the compound effect worked in their favor. We built a community in that region of insurance sales that thrived and got results. Now I want to share a couple other examples of when community works and how positive community can work. There's one of the largest growing fitness franchises right now. It's called Burn Boot Camp. A guy named Devin Klein started Burn Boot Camp in the parking lot of Central Michigan University. Literally having people do burpees in the parking lot. It worked out so well that they're the fastest growing fitness franchise in the country right now. Over 400 locations. If you haven't heard of them yet, you will. Because Devin isn't selling a gym. He's selling a community. They have community-based workouts that people show up to connect, to have connectivity, community, to win together, to thrive together, to challenge each other. Because executing with community works, and that's what we're called to do. Now that's my buddy Nate in the bottom left there. See, I changed jobs into our execution story. And I moved away from my original who, an hour away. That's when I started doing this crazy marathon stuff and Ironman stuff. And I found that who could work from a hybrid approach too. So me and my buddy Nate, we texted our runs every single day on our way to our first marathon together. And we both executed that marathon pretty well. Right, Nate? Where is that? Okay. Now we built a whole leadership structure at Farm Bureau Insurance on community and who, which I think is incredible. We have a managing partner structure. Instead of an agency manager approach, like many companies do, we have a team-based accountability approach, community approach. Those are my partners, Eric, Melissa, Michaela, and Mark, and together we lead the CBT region of Michigan together. 150 agents. We all work to recruit in the region. We all connect with agents differently. And because we care about each other, we get results as well. The community approach has led to significant results in our company over the last 15 years. So just to recap this execution strategy, remember, keep it simple, 1 to 2 things today. What can you execute on just a few days a week with your group? Create a compelling scoreboard to track progress with your team, with your group. And celebrate with fellowship and discussing challenges with your people as well. Now to take that to the next level, who's your coach? Some of the best athletes in the world hire coaches. Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. These guys have egos the size of Texas. But most business professionals trying to perform at the highest level do not hire a coach. What is it that makes us so unique and so good that we don't need the coach to take us to the next level? Take a look at hiring a coach. Having a powerful why can ignite you a little bit more too. It's not just about who. Having a why can help. And as I said earlier, we all have opportunities for compelling whys. There's so many opportunities for us to figure out a more powerful why. A couple years ago, I was going to a conference like this one. I was leaving my 2 little girls. And Logan, my oldest daughter, says, "Hey, why are you leaving?" She's crying, she's throwing a little bit of fit. You know, you always leave for these conferences or whatever. Why are you leaving? And without thinking, I just said, "Well, that coconut water you like to drink is expensive." And I went on my way, drove to Grand Rapids that day, and I thought about it. It bothered me that I responded that way. I want to have something more important to tell my kids about why I do what I do. And we spend over 30% of our lives working a job, going to work, going to these conferences. We need to make that matter more than just making a buck. So now when I leave my little girls, and I did Sunday, and they ask why, like they always do. Now I tell them because someone needs me, they need me to inspire them, they need me to lead them, they might need me to encourage them. And I'm looking for those people. And I share that with my little girls. You all have great opportunities for whys too. Your customers need you, the people you lead need you. Make it count. Make your why count. Having a scoreboard. One of the other speakers here talked about a scoreboard. This is no secret. What we track and we give attention to gets results. Now that's my oldest Logan. She's putting one of the events for our year on our big ass calendar. That Jesse Itzler has that big ass calendar that you can buy online. Jesse Itzler is one of our speakers tomorrow morning too, which is pretty cool. I'm excited about that. We have this calendar right in the hallway of my house. My wife loves it. And what you track, what you give attention for, and what you block gets done. So do something every 90 days important with your family, and you'll have so many memories and so much fun to look back on. One thing in order, that's it. We block our most important things with big ass calendars so they don't get missed. Now if you write your goal down, scoreboard, and you tell someone else about it, which all of you did to start the day this morning, your chances of executing that goal go up by 80%. So you are making yourself almost bulletproof with the scoreboard to execute your goals. Now, why does the scoreboard work so well, though? Obviously, we play different when we're keeping score, right? March Madness, Michigan State, another Sweet 16 every single year. It's amazing. Great coach, Izzo, well-played, well-coached team, best team in the world. They play different when we're keeping score of the game, okay? But it's not just that. I think it's the venue of accountability the scoreboard gives us. It's the venue to have a conversation about the score. It's a venue to connect with our people, with our teams, that I think actually makes us execute. If you want to track calories, have a scoreboard for calories, you'll probably lose weight. Anything you track, you're going to get results in. But when you connect with your community, and here's all these examples of connection points that are working right now, church life groups, weekly phone calls with your agents, all of you that do weekly phone calls with your agents, I guarantee you're getting results on those weekly phone calls. It's not about just the score. The scoreboard's huge, but it's the connection points, the connectivity to your team. Now, what is leadership? We talked about execution. Now I want to get into a little bit of leadership talk. And if I ask Logan about leadership, my oldest daughter, she says something like, well, I'm the leader of a race, right? Leader of a race. I'm first place. Leader. We go first. She's not wrong. A leader, I think, is someone who, again, leads yourself first. You go first to the challenge. You inspire, and people willingly follow you for going first and lead by example. You serve others. You lead yourself, and then you build endurance to keep doing what works. Now, one of the greatest leaders I've ever seen is a guy named Baez. So, if you've ever been to the Amway Grand Plaza in Grand Rapids, Michigan, you know Baez. So I walk up to the Amway Grand, pull in, I get out of my car. Baez already knows we're there, because our company goes there all the time. Is my mic still on?
Yes.
Okay. So I get out of my car, and instantly I see Baez. We lock eyes, right? Oh, handsome man! It's so good to see you! Where's your beautiful bride? That's different. He calls me handsome. I like that. He calls my wife beautiful. That's nice. But what makes Baez different? I got the chance to talk with Baez. We sat down for an evening together. It was awesome. He's one of the best leaders I've ever seen. He serves others without titles. He literally wrote the book on being the greatest bellman of all time. It's called The Bellman's Handbook right there. You can get it on Amazon. But what Baez does best is he makes everyone feel heard. He serves everyone and their unique needs, using language like, my friend, sir, you look handsome. He makes a different experience. And for the longest time, I thought it was just different for me. I thought I was special. Well, if I asked me to stay with me, and I posted that picture on Facebook, there was like 60 comments of people thinking they were special with Fayez, having the same relationship I did. Damn it, I'm not special. He's just good. Greatest bellman of all time. Servant leadership. Now, how do we get better at servant leadership? Now, this is a good friend of mine as well, Ted Lasso. We're going to go to him for some advice on how we build servant leadership real quick, okay? Let him take over for a second. IT. Where's the tech support? My palms are sweaty.
Let me feel it.
Someone turn on some cream.
This is why we embed videos properly, folks. Now you get to watch like this.
That's fine. Go get it. It's worth it, I promise.
Twinnies in the room, sorry.
Good luck. You know, Rupert, guys have underestimated me my entire life. And for years I never understood why. I used to really laugh. But then one day I was driving my little boy to school and I saw this quote by Walt Whitman painted on the wall there. It said, "Be curious, not judgmental." I like it. So I get back in my car, I'm driving to work, and all of a sudden it hits me. All them fellas that used to belittle me, not a single one of them were curious. You know, they thought they had everything all figured out, so they judged everything. They judged everyone. And I realized that they're underestimating me. Who I was had nothing to do with it. Because if they were curious, they would ask questions. You know? Questions like, have you played a lot of darts, Ted? Which I would have answered, yes, sir. Every Sunday afternoon at a sports bar with my father from age 10 until I was 16, he passed away. Barbecue sauce.
Consolation. Rebecca, Ted, enjoy your evening. Night as always.
Shit, that felt good. It was fun.
So, I think this sums up the way to approach servant leadership pretty well. How do we be curious, not judgmental? How do we ask better questions to our people? How do we learn to serve better? One of my mentors that passed away last year, they called him the legend. Rick Romansky used to say, be interested, not interesting. I think that's a great way to approach servant leadership. So what are the roadblocks to serving our team, and what are the roadblocks to building endurance in this journey? And I think the roadblocks come down to primarily one thing, it's ego, our ego. We all have a little bit of ego. They show up in ways like self-preservation, wanting to validate a position, self-promotion, and how do we be aware of those things, and how do we overcome those things? Now, Phil Knight, when he wrote his original principles of Nike, printed it really well. This was 60 years ago, before Nike became the giant that they are today at number 8. The dangers he warns of are personal ambition and energy takers and putting too many things on the platter. And I think those go really well with the two main roadblocks I think I see in leadership endurance and execution. Anyone ever seen a balance bike? That's my oldest slogan on a balance bike. I sent him an updated slideshow, actually. This is not my updated slideshow. But we're gonna roll with it. That is my youngest, or my oldest Logan. She's now 5. That's a few years ago, on a balance bike. Now, a balance bike is an efficient way to teach kids how to ride a bike. But it took us 10 years to figure out, it took us decades actually to figure out, that the best, most efficient way to teach kids how to ride a bike was for removing the pedals, not by adding training wheels. We initially added training wheels for a long time, right? Kids learned how to ride a bike through training wheels. Now we're finding it's way more efficient and effective to teach kids how to ride a bike on a balance bike, just by removing the pedals. Well, why is that? That's because we have a bias called the additive bias. There was a professor from the University of Virginia that was just happened to be playing Legos with his son, 9-year-old son, when he couldn't get a bridge to work, to line upright, a column to line upright in his Lego set. So he reaches back to grab a Lego to add to the bridge to get it to sync upright and stabilize. And as he's reaching back, he turns around. His 9-year-old son, Ezra, removes a little bit of Lego and causes the bridge to stabilize and sync up perfectly. It's now nice and stable. So this dorky professor obviously is like, I gotta study this. And he launches a whole study where he comes up with the additive bias. And what it is our brains access our system 1 brain, our easier brain to access, our habit brain, where we can do everything without thinking too much about it. They access adding through system 1. So it's way easier for us to add stuff than it is to subtract. Now to subtract, to reduce for reduction techniques to solve problems, we have to think a lot harder. We have to access system 2 brain, we have to slow down, we have to back up, we have to evaluate. Oh, by the way, the ego we talked about is playing in with this as well. Because not only do we have this cognitive bias, it's actually much harder for us to think reduction techniques, but the ego, what does business reward us for, everybody? Just throwing too many things on the platter, right? We need to add a new vendor. Oh, AI, we need a new AI vendor. Oh, we need a new training. How do we get agents to make it? We need more training. We need to add a training session. We need to add a meeting. We need to add. That's what we get rewarded to solve problems with, right? Now, oftentimes, what we find is if we take a step back, through reduction, we can solve the problem more effectively and more efficiently. But it's harder to explain to your boss that you're doing less. So what I want y'all to do is I want you to take a step back and think of reduction techniques in your business. And I want you to come up with a little bit of mantra. Like, when things don't add up, just subtract. So at least you're conscious of it when this bias starts to creep in. That's the additive bias. The next thing that comes in is a roadblock to building endurance and stopping you from executing. It's called shiny object syndrome. Now this is great. I have it all the time. So we're going on, we're succeeding, we're doing real well, but then boom, new idea. Right? Squirrel, gotta go, gotta jump on that new idea. Next thing you know, we lose interest in that. New fad, right turn, we're going over there too. Shiny object syndrome. Instead, we could be investing into new development, so when you hit that plateau, you invest in personal development, you invest in growth, you overcome that plateau, and then you persist, and you stay focused on endurance, on keeping your scoreboard, on serving your team, on building others. So some suggestions on how to build endurance and fight shiny object syndrome. One, why do you have the goal? Take a step back, what are you actually trying to achieve? Is this a vanity goal? A vanity goal is a goal that we do to impress others. Is it a vanity goal, or is this a goal that helps my team? Does this actually add value? What is the outcome? Does it actually result in an outcome that helps my team? So taking a step back and evaluating why you're doing what you're doing in the first place. The second thing is a Stephen Covey quote. Begin with the end in mind. So many times we want to add things to the platter. That's fine. We have to try things, right? We have to validate our positions, right? We have to tell our boss we're doing something. Fair? But we don't always have to permanently add. So like Stephen Covey says, when you add something, and you want to pursue this goal in that way, begin with the end in mind. What does that mean? Well, how about a clear start date and a clear end date? Maybe this is more of a sprint. Maybe it's a quarterly sprint. Maybe it's a quarterly target. Maybe it's a 7-week program, and then we're done with this. We can reevaluate. Give yourself an out, but begin with the end in mind. The next thing for both these, to defeat both these things, is to come up with a mantra that works for you. Now, an Ironman is a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike, followed by a full marathon, 26.2 miles. When I went to do my first Ironman, I had never actually had a successful Ironman swim before, or triathlon swim. Every time I got out in the open water in a triathlon swim and I couldn't touch anymore, I started having panic attacks. Absolutely freaked out. Now it's all good, you know, you can grab onto a kayak, it's all good. And then I would gather my breath and move on. But I was fine. But I signed up for an Ironman literally never having a successful Ironman or a triathlon swim. And when I was about to approach the Ironman the night before the race, my coach that I had hired texted me, and he says, "Forward is the pace." I'm like, I like that. I think no matter what the situation, no matter what all of our situations are, we can keep moving forward. I can take one more step. I can do one more swim stroke. And we can keep moving forward. Now fast forward 2 years later, I'm in my second Ironman. Ironman Florida. Big Ironman. Open water swim in the ocean. Ocean swim. Sharks. The day before, it is wavy as hell. Like, I go out to do the practice swim, it's super wavy, you're going like this. I'm like, this is not good. This is not good. Day of the race. Take the race, get through the swim, no problem. Made it. Woo! Good to go. On the bike, 112 mile bike. I'm 10 miles out from the finish of the bike. And I hit a headwind, just an aggressive headwind. I go from 20 miles out on the bike to like 14 miles on the bike, like that bad. So I'm just crushed. I get to the end of the bike. I hit transition area. Take a little breather, change my stuff, and I take off to go on the marathon. And I come out of transition, I see my group, I see my community, I see my little girls, Noelle and Logan, and I see my bride, Virginia. I give them all a hug and a kiss, high five. They say, "Go Daddy, go," like they do when I'm training too, practice play play. Every time they see me, they say, "Go Daddy, go." It's great. I highly recommend a cheer squad. And I take off on the marathon. Well, it's 26.2 after I just did all that biking, right? But I'm so stoked that I just saw my hoop that I'm running a 6:50 pace, mile 1 marathon. And I'm just cruising along, flying. I get to the end of mile 1, and I'm smoked. This is going to be a long marathon. This is going to be a really long day. Well, I help hum along, you know, about 10-minute pace. On mile 16, this dude comes up to me. He starts running with me. His name's Ben. He's actually from Michigan. And he starts talking with me. We're talking for a while. Now, he's doing most of the talking because I'm hurt. I'm in the hurt locker. I don't have much to say to that. But he's a really nice guy. And he's telling me all these stories. And I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm not going to say much because I got a cramp." And he's like, "Hey, here, take these 2 pills." And he hands me 2 pills. Now, I wouldn't normally recommend taking pills from a stranger, okay? But in this case, I did not care what these pills did, okay? I was on mile 17, and I hoped these pills killed me. So I take these salt pills. They're salt pills, thank God, I think. And they worked, and I start humming along with Ben. So Ben and I ran the whole last 10 miles of that marathon together. But as he's running, he's telling me all these stories, again, keeping me entertained. And he's training for Kona, the Ironman World Championship, the Mega Album Ball. He's training for that. And he tells me a story how he's doing Ironman St. George out in the mountains. And he's on the bike of Ironman St. George, and he crashes his bike in the mountains, going flying downhill. And he breaks his collarbone. And he breaks his collarbone so bad it's like popping out. And not like through the skin, it's popped out so you can see it. I thought he was lying, because he finished the race. And he's telling me the story as I'm just like, this guy's lying, like, well, whatever, I just need entertainment. And I literally thought he was lying, but I looked it up after the race. It was a true story. He did it. So I'm just entertaining him at this point in time. I'm like, "Ben, how did you keep going?" Like, I would have nailed that in, forget that. And he's like, "Forward is the pace, man. Forward is the pace." So forward is the pace. This kind of became a mantra for me when things are challenging, when things are hard. I thought it was just too crazy that 2 Ironmans people said this to me. Forward is the pace. So keep moving forward. As I leave you here today, I want you to get the mantra as well. Pick your mantra that works for you. You don't have to go do Ironmans and marathons. It's kind of, I wouldn't even recommend it. But I want you to pick your 2 goals that you had today. And I want you to reevaluate those goals. Make sure they're the right goals. Make sure they fire you up, because there's 2 types of goals. There's probable goals. These are goals that are pretty easy to achieve. We all have probable goals. We like probable goals. They keep us in our comfort zone. We can check them off the list. We can go about them. We can complete them. Probable goals make us feel good. But then there's also possible goals. Possible goals fire us up a little bit more. We don't entirely know if we can achieve them, but we think we can achieve them if everything goes right. If we have the discipline, if we have our community helping us out, maybe a coach coming in, we scoreboard it, we know we might be able to achieve a possible goal. But the great thing about a possible goal is it fires it up. It ignites you. It inspires an exciting life. And you never forget achieving a possible goal. But most importantly, you never forget who was alongside you when you did it. Thank you.